welcome to the Rise World Summit. This is our second roundtable. We had a grand plenary opening in the morning and our first roundtable, which as we just had one more participant who's there in the morning who's saying we could have easily gone on for another 2 more hours with the kind of conversation that we were having. So to get started, and let's not waste any time and make sure we make the full use of these 2 hours, Malini, may I request you to please get the proceedings started?
So thank you very much, Carol, for giving us this opportunity to host this roundtable. And this is a great learning for us as well. So I'm speaking on behalf of Seed India, which is like the India hub for seed, which works primarily on eco-inclusive enterprises, looking at the business, the social, and the environmental angle. So Terry, the Energy and Resources Institute in New Delhi, is hosting the Seed India Hub. So the activities of Seed essentially are twofold. We provide direct support to enterprises, and we also provide support for ecosystem creation so that it facilitates the development of such eco-inclusive enterprises. So Linde, I guess, will touch a little more upon this ecosystem, creation and what we are doing already in that area. So it is my pleasure to welcome all the panelists and also all the participants to this session. What we are looking for is your thoughts, and we would like to eventually go towards collaborations so that eco-inclusive enterprises also move towards circular economy initiatives. So with that, Karen, I'll give you the floor to get the session started.
Great. And to set the context, because we are going to have a really great session, but because we need to kind of understand what this is going to be like, maybe we'll do a little very quick round of introduction, and let's do an online introduction first, and then we will talk about the rest of how we are going to go about this. Yeah. So may I first request everybody to please look at their names and do that change. You don't often get these kind of opportunities, do you? So if you could just rename yourself to add your country and organization, because we are a global summit. We have over 43 countries registered with us. So it will be good to see if we have that diversity in the room as well. So your name, your country, and your organization, if you could please do that, we would really, really appreciate that. Yeah. And to set the context to the roundtable and understand, what is it that we're really aiming for? What is the objective of this roundtable? May I please invite Lindy Walters, the head of communications and the co-lead on policy and advocacy at Adelphi Seed Germany, to please say a few words. Lindy?
Sure. I have a bit more than a few words, but you will just stop me. You will just stop me when it's enough. But I guess in my sort of 4 minutes or so, I just want to make 3 points really. So I think one is eco-inclusive enterprises have a key role to play in circular economy. India has a key opportunity to become a more circular economy, and what we at Seed thinks this takes, and that will hopefully lead us into the discussions that we'll have later. So Malini touched already on Seed. We identify, award, support circular, green, and social businesses, and we work to build a policy and finance ecosystem in which those actors can thrive. We started out way before some of the other guys were involved, 15 years ago, and we've supported over 4,000 of these businesses by now, and trained over 500 local incubator organizations to support those enterprises, a big fraction of those also in India, where we've been active since 2003. So these eco-inclusive enterprises, what are these and how did they link into circular economy? So they offer green products and services, but they do it in an economically sustainable and socially responsible way. And they're inclusive of marginalized populations within the way they work and within their value chains. And the point I want to make, I guess, is that these enterprises are known for their sustainability. So we did a survey actually over 2018, and that was showing that 83 of our enterprises between sort of 2 and 10 years are still in business. And actually 87% of them are experiencing positive yearly sales. So I think the point I'm trying to make there is, well, these are not just feel good businesses, they're economically sustainable. They have key impacts on the environment. So to give you a sense, an average seed enterprise or that's been through seed programs produces 7,300 tons of CO2. A lot of them do a lot of good work for gender equality, and on average, they create about a little bit over 28 jobs per enterprise, a big fraction of which is offered to people at the bottom of the pyramid. So what's this opportunity that I see for these businesses and the circular economy? So I think, as you all know better than me, being actually based in India, India's rapid economic growth and growing population comes with a lot of challenges like urbanization, resource scarcity, high levels of poverty. And I'm sure that some of the other actors will talk to some of the issues that creates, for example, in plastile and textile waste. And so really, by embarking on this circular economy, I think Indian businesses can really leverage the country's expected levels of growth and development to contribute to a more resource efficient system, creating value for the economy, the environment, and the people. And so I think what we really see as the opportunity seed is that we can really leverage the potential of eco-inclusive entrepreneurship to speed up the adoption of a circular economy. And we really feel that promoting, supporting, and championing circular economy enterprises can lead to an economy that's restorative and regenerative. And so I think, circular economy enterprises have or are adopting innovative business models and that prioritize renewable input and maximize product use. They work with waste byproducts. They regenerate natural systems, for example, through agriculture. So to give you a sense of a seed enterprise in India, we've got some that are working with rural manufacturers to produce nut leaf plates to replace plastic. We also have an enterprise that looks at household solutions for compost and raises awareness around the importance of that. So I think there's a lot of good innovation there. And so maybe to close off with, what would it take to really activate and empower and have these enterprises make an impact? So I think access to high quality, consistent and professional capacity building and tailored financial instruments are two key challenges for circular economy enterprises in India. And so I think we really need three things at a minimum, and I'd love to sort of get some ideas and creative suggestions around that later. So I think we need to really celebrate enterprise contributions and acknowledging especially the contribution of some of the smaller businesses that offer circular products and services. And I think we're all too often looking at the sort of large corporate players to solve this. We need capacity building so that they can really develop compelling and sustainable circular models. And we really need collaboration, and that, I guess, is what we're here for. So we need collaboration within sectors and between SMEs to share waste streams and expertise and skills in a field that's very new. And we need more collaboration among finance actors to deliver finance instruments, and we need collaboration with government for the right policy instruments that stimulate circular economy. So I'll pause there, and I hope that we can think a little bit more about that.
Absolutely.
All together.
As you said, that is the point of this conversation. So we definitely have got our agenda points set up for us. I am also now going to request Dr. Prasad Modak, founder of Environmental Management Center, to please also set the context with his background and experience that is so vast in this field. Dr. Modak, over to you.
Thank you, Karen. I think Linda has done a great job already. So, I don't want to therefore say something which you have already said. But just to emphasize that when we talk about the canvas of circular economy, especially when it comes to business models, more number of times do we restrict or we keep thinking only about waste recycling. And I think we probably need to open up the canvas again more explicitly so, where we go in the full circle, not missing repairs and refurbishing, and not missing as well the product design itself. And these two areas, while I would say the second one has been our way of life, we never have a situation where we throw away things. We'll always look for somebody culturally who would repair for us. But you must have seen over the years that situation is changing. We don't now very easily see people who will repair our watches or repair our mobile phones. But yet now you see new kinds of business models with aggregators coming in for repair and refurbishing as well. So we got to look at those models. And the last couple of years, I've been finding lots of investment opportunities coming for the small businesses where there is an interest to get into supporting repair servicing sector, which essentially extends the product life. But then I want to take it further upstream, Linde, that product design is one area where we haven't really progressed too much. Or if we had done so, we haven't really got enough information what kind of expertise and innovation potential there is. And I think that's the only point I would like to add to what you already very well said about the relevance and the context and the opportunities what we have in India on circular economy. So that's it for now, Karen. And I think as we go along with discussions, I'm sure I will chip in. Karen, you're mute.
Sorry, just never realized this, right? So thank you so much, Dr. Modak. I think that really helps to give two contexts which, while very similar, are still very clearly from two different angles and points of view. So thank you so much for setting that in for us. And now we move ahead. And as we get started, may I please request Malini, you have some very nice thing in store for us.
Okay, I think we will move on to Mentimeter session now, because we already know that, who is the speaker, who are the experts on the panel, but we don't know who is participating as as an invitees or as a participants over here on this call. So what we can do is when we are going to use one tool, which is called Mentimeter, just to understand who is in the room, and also just to put a little bit more context in terms of circular economy entrepreneurship in India. So I am just going to share the screen, and on the screen, you can basically see there. You can just go to www.menti.com. You can use your phones or your laptop. Just go to www.menti.com and use the code 2406212. Maybe Karen can also type it in the chat box.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Karen.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Thank you. So it's www.menti.com and use the code 2406212. So let me just wait for some seconds, and then we will go for the questions. I can see people are already getting on it. Okay, great. So let's first understand, how is your mood today? Hello, everyone. How is your mood today?
Very quiet lot.
This is a very important question, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, our roundtable depends on this. Busy but positive. Wow.
So we have received some 18, 20. Okay, great. Let's wait for some more interest. Good to see that, it's most of it is in the positive side, like all are fine and busy, but still positive. Great. So whoever has not joined, you can actually join through www.menti.com and use the code 2406212. You can also see it on the screen on top. Okay, let's go to the next question. What type of organization do you represent? What type of organization you represent? Okay, quite cool. It's a mixture of all the different kind of stakeholders over here. Good, good,
Oh, quite nice.
quite nice. Yeah, it's a mixture for everyone, but
Yeah.
mostly academia and NGO are the ones who are there. We do have some representation from corporates. Good to see. Let's go to the next question. How closely is your organization associated with circular economy entrepreneurship? So your options are working directly with circular economy enterprises, working indirectly with to empower the circular economy enterprises, or we are exploring opportunities to work with circular economy enterprises. Good. It's actually getting into a super positive mode that, when many people are exploring the opportunity to work with circular economy enterprises, that means that there is going to be more collaborations, isn't
Yes,
it, Karen?
absolutely. I mean, this is music to my ears. Great, great.
Good to see. Yes. Let's move on to our next question of today. According to you, which two stakeholder groups play a major role in transition from linear to circular economy in India? Your options: government, large corporations, development organizations, consumers, NGOs. Which two major stakeholders out of these? Mhm. Many are going into government, consumers, large corporations. So basically, it is coming through that, when we can select the major top three are government, large corporations, and consumers. That's good to see here. The next question is about, according, which are the two major challenges for circular economy entrepreneurship in India? Here are the options. Mhm. It's great to see that, when many of you have gone to the lack of understanding of impact they create. The entrepreneurs themselves don't have that understanding that they are really creating an impact, not only in terms of environmental impacts, but also social impact, as well as the economic impact to the overall economy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really very true, Amal, because we had one experience where we were doing the outreach for a World Bank program. And believe me, we had to convince them that they qualified. They didn't even understand that would they qualify. Their first impression was, oh, we are not, we are not into this. And it was really surprising. So I think, yes, that's a very important part to bring out.
And Dr. Modak, it's the same thing which we also observed in our circular economy entrepreneurship challenge as well, right?
Yes, absolutely, Amar. It resonates.
It resonates, yeah, indeed. Good. Let's move on to our last question. What is your opinion on circular economy entrepreneurship in India? This is basically, what do you really think about the circular economy entrepreneurship? It's a vast question, in fact, but you can just put your opinion in few words and see and kind of set a context in terms of discussions as well. Has a huge scope, must be explored greatly, definitely. Good. For the second participants, definitely you're going to have more inputs from our experts over there. Generating reliable data, definitely. High potential for triple bottom line impact. Potential to have tremendous economic and environmental impacts. Mhm. Idea for post-COVID resilience, that's a good one. Business imperative, good. Much needed ensuring climate change. Mhm. Must be explored. Definitely should be explored. Follow the guidelines of SDG. Okay, great. I think that's it from this session. And Karen, as you can see, like, there is already some context set for our
Great,
discussions. I would now like to hand it over to you for the proceedings. Thank
great.
you.
Great. Thank you so much. And, as Amar said, and as we have seen already from this, that we already have a really, really rich set of people in the room with a lot of experience, because the insights itself tells us a lot about you. But at the same time, we would like to acknowledge people who have helped us. So we do have some of our experts who we kind of tapped into to say, okay, what is it that we really want to talk about over here? And so I would at least want to definitely acknowledge them at this point. And and they will be here to really be a part of the conversation, and help us really to synthesize it at the end. So as we already have Linde and Prasad, Dr. Prasad Modak, who we have introduced, we also have Sanjeev Bhatia, founder and executive director of Sustent Group. Sanjeev, do you want to just say hi so that people know you very clearly? Yeah. And I hope you will rename your name as well. Great. We also have with us Katire-san, who is the founder of Eco Hike and Syndicate Impex.
Hi
Again,
everyone, nice to join you then.
great, great. We have Aditya Surya, co-founder and chief impact officer of Repurpose Global. Oh, we share the same. First time I found somebody with the same designation. Aditya, do you want to say hi? We also have with us Rachna Arora, team leader of GIZ, EU supported resource efficiency initiative for India, and the Circular Economy Solutions Preventing Marine Litter. That's a mouthful, but I do hope I got that right. I'm so glad to have you with us, Rachna. Maybe a quick hi from you too would be really great. And last
Yeah.
but not the least,
Hello, everyone.
thank you so much. Last but not the least, we have Piyush Dhawan, co-founder at the Circular Collective. Uh, and may I welcome you on behalf of the group, and may I also thank you for giving us your time, and look forward to having a really, really engaging conversation going forward. Yeah. Malini, do you want to say a few words before we get into deep dive into the conversation? Yeah.
No, I think let's get into the conversation because that'll be the fun bit.
Great.
Thanks
Absolutely.
everyone for joining in.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, I think all of us have, gone for so many panel discussions and so many webinars that we get so used to being in this silent, or, kind of audience, kind of this thing, that when we do have an event like this at the Rise World Summit, people just get so shocked when we tell them that we have no panels and no presentations, and most of the time the answer is like, why and what do you do otherwise? The reason is, as Amar said in the beginning, and when we were doing the Mentimeter, is we are looking for collaborations, and collaborations are only possible through deep conversations. And so I really invite each one of you to contribute. There is no hierarchy. We want every voice to be heard, and really get into deep. But so that we give everybody an opportunity to speak, or at least as many as we can, I would request we stay brief and we stay to the format that we talk about, because that will allow us to really come to a conclusion of some kind of outcomes to take forward. Yeah. And the way we drive this conversation is based on our template, where we start first with challenges. All of us have done so much work. There is no two ways about that. But while doing that work, have there been challenges that you can be really clearly be able to define and say, these are some of the things that I've been struggling with, because that would help us to get answers for you and set all the others thinking too, right? So to get us started, can I maybe request one of the experts? Maybe you could set the ball rolling in terms of saying what is the kind of challenges we normally look at when we talk about enterprises. And as I said, this is an open round table, and so we don't want to pull people in. We much rather you want to go. And just so, as long as there's nobody there, you can jump into the call, into the conversation. But if we have multiple people speaking, then I would request that you please do put your hands up. Yeah. But otherwise, we're good to go. Yeah. So, do I have any takers to get started?
Yeah, Karen, I can take that. We as a firm work a lot with SMEs to help them adopt sustainable business practices with a very strong focus on resource efficiency. And we've also been trying to get them to adopt circular business models. And our vision is to help 10,000 companies. We've done 700. So we have a fair amount of experience with SMEs in South Asia. And it's easy to get the resource efficiency piece in. But to get them to think on circular business models, there are a couple of pretty structural challenges that come, whether you're small or big. One is our inverted tax structure. So if you want to extract primary resources and use virgin materials, etc., you typically end up, your costs are lower than trying to use and recovered material, for example, and bring it back into the business cycle. So that's one inverted structure that we have. Second is on people and the human resource cost, let's say. With the principles of circular economy, a lot of it, value add has to happen at the local level. You have to create local jobs. But here also we have inverted structures, local skills don't get that respect and the payments, which allows this model to thrive. So these are, my early thoughts. And I fully agree with some of the opening remarks that Professor Modak made, that the whole focus is on recycling and all the conversations, and we forget things like repair, where the repair piece is so critical, and that also creates the local jobs here. So these would be some opening remarks, and I'm sure others have some additional thoughts.
Sure. Great. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. The inverted model, I like the way that you put that over there. So I was just going to say, do we have any enterprise in the room who might want to get the ball rolling and give us some of the insights from that point of view?
Yeah, Karan, here I would like to join this conversation and give my some inputs which we are facing as an manufacturing industry in textiles into the circular economy.
Yeah.
So here, when we are speaking about the circular economy and the product which is has a true holistic solution of circular economy, in a textile industry, the very big challenge that we are facing is the awareness among the consumers and all about the traceability. So that is something which is making a consumer believe that the product is of made of true circular economy. Economy is a very big challenge for us. And again, even as a consumer, lot of people are still in India. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who doesn't know truly about what is the impact that they are creating while purchasing every single garment. So changing the mindset of a consumer is first and foremost thing for any enterprises or any manufacturing industry or for any product to be a successful one. So there we are finding a challenge, and to overcome it, we are also trying to roll around some awareness campaigns and awareness videos where we state the consumers to be the god for the nature and how we have to cope up with nature and take forward without harming the environment. So that is something which I have to address here.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We already have somebody on the chat. And yes, thank you so much, Kumar, for putting that on the chat, because I would definitely encourage everybody to, as you hear someone speaking, you might have thoughts, and sometimes how they are fleeting thoughts. So you don't want to lose out on a single thought that comes our way. And so please do put it down on the chat, and we'll try and bring you in based on that as well. So Kumar, would you like to maybe say a little bit, though you have written a lot? It'd be nice to also hear a quick bite from you as well. Please go ahead.
Sure, Karan. See, I have maybe I am an outlier in these ideas, but my basic understanding of the situation as it exists today is that we are still working and living and working in a me mentality and not a we mentality. Whether it's a circular economy, whether it is, we had the discussion in the morning about migrant labor. I mean, any issue which is connected with sustainability. Right now, the first question that comes in is, what's in it for me? If I have to sacrifice something, I am not interested. The same is there for a circular economy as well. I mean, if I have to participate in a circular economy, there is a very good possibility that I need to share my profits with someone else. If I have to share my profits with someone else, I take home less. I'm not interested. So we need to set aside this thought about putting me before the we. That's why I say we need to move away from being an economy and start thinking of ourselves as an ecosystem. If the ecosystem thrives, we thrive. Else we all fail together. And that's why I said we have a situation today where the climate crisis is highly exacerbated. The job market is shrinking. Every single metric on the SDG, we are in violation of. I mean, we're in serious trouble, and talk is going to get us nowhere.
Absolutely. I think, you're so right. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to convert our talk into action, and hopefully we will be doing that today by the end of this session. I can see we have a young entrepreneur with us from Earth Tattva, Shashank. Would you like to say a few words about how you as a startup, are facing maybe some challenges, and what are those challenges? So can we have you, please?
Yes. Hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hi, Karan. Yeah, everyone, actually. Thank you. And so, in terms of the challenges for circular economy, for me, initially is that building up the team of people who are really passionate about this cause, because we can, of course, offer so many jobs for in different sectors, and people, of course, need them. But then we also need a team who is really competent and passionate about this cause, because we cannot be really working only for money, and where so we can align our vision and the growth of the individual as well. So that is something that is a major challenge for us in the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. Not only finding good people, but finding the right people also that sync with your entire philosophy and vision. I think that's really important. And I don't think we have too many programs that really look at team building or, HR capacity building as a core component of even incubation programs. We tend to focus more on only the head, which is why I think the seed programs are so great, because we do encourage the founders to come along with their teams for the programs that we host, the seed startup program. So thank you, Shashank, for bringing up that point. Very, very well taken. Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping that there are more hands going up. Let me tell you, folks, if you don't put your hands up now and start getting into the conversation, you're going to find out that time is running out. And it runs out pretty quickly towards the end. And that's when we see many hands starting to go up. And then we are out of time. So I would seriously ask you, please start putting your hands up. And yes, Puneet, I do see yours up. Please go ahead. And Gitanjali, I'll come to you next after that. Yeah? Please.
Okay. So thank you, Karan, and a wonderful platform. I just want to bring in a practitioner's perspective from a social sector project. And primarily, we work with marginalized and rural youth in terms of connecting them to skilling and jobs. Now, I'm very happy to be a part of this forum, because the need for a circular economy and local opportunities at the ground level in villages, blocks, is something which is, humongous, I think, in terms of, and this can solve multiple problems. I think not only providing them a local ecosystem, But the kind of urbanization that we are having, the kind of drift we are having of young people without much of skills moving to urban cities. So I think it can address multiple problems. And the only thing that I'm concerned is probably the need at a policy level and at a framework level with the government is not felt so strongly. So probably it is left to individual players who want to do it. There are models of circular economy doing very well in European countries, and which have spearheaded it. But if it can trickle down here, it can have tremendous impacts.
Um, Yes, absolutely. And I think, Malini, maybe you can come in because, with Terry doing the kind of incubator work, how does this really kind of identifies with the different kind of incubators and accelerator programs, or what are the kind of capacity building again, which take you down to the rural and remote areas as well, because entrepreneurship is as critical there as it is anywhere else, So yes,
Absolutely.
Malini, would you like to come in for a bit? Mute.
I think it's a really right question which you have asked, Puneet. So basically, as Linda has mentioned in the, am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, thank you. So as Linda mentioned in the beginning that in Seed, we are not only directly working with entrepreneurs as an incubator or an accelerator, we are also building an ecosystem around it. And in that ecosystem programs, one of the major focus is on building the capacities of incubators and accelerators itself. So basically, what we have done is since our past 15 years of experience, we have developed some toolkits which are very much useful. Karen has worked on those toolkits, and also Dr. Modak has knows those toolkits, and Rachana, who is also on the call, she knows the toolkit approach as well. So we have developed some tools which are directly catering to this kind of eco-inclusive entrepreneurs. But it's also that we have created one program of TOT, training of trainers, where we are
Okay.
actually building capacities of incubators and accelerators. And just to tell you that in past 2 years, we have actually worked or trained 50 incubators and accelerators in India. And those incubators and accelerators in India are not only from eco-inclusive field, but we also train the ones who are from the conventional entrepreneurship field, because we
Okay.
want these conventional entrepreneurship field incubators and accelerators also to take this kind of a circular economy or this kind of eco-inclusiveness in the
Sure.
conventional entrepreneurship as well. So I would say there are some standards which are available. I would not call it so much of a standard which can be when changing as and when the time comes. But I would say there are some programs like Seed, even other organizations also do have this kind of a capacity programs. And we have also done out of these 50 incubators and accelerators, we have focused two of our trainings in non-metro cities. One has
Very
happened,
interesting.
yeah, one has actually happened in Hubli in Karnataka, where we have actually
Okay.
worked closely with sandbox startups, Deshpande startups over there.
Right.
And we have
Right.
trained some 23 incubators, which are from Atal Incubation Center, in fact, in India.
Yeah, thanks, Amar, for bringing that up, because I think, and here I think I'd like to bring Rachna into this conversation, because we're really talking about the ecosystem as well. So while Shashank gave us that starting point from an entrepreneur's perspective, Puneet has really brought it, and even Kumar kind of spoke that ultimately it's about an ecosystem. The circular economy can only exist when we start talking of it at the ecosystem level. And so, Rachna, may I request you to maybe say a few words and let us know how do you see this kind of panning out from the various stakeholders that are required to make this kind of a conducive environment for eco-inclusive enterprises and therefore, of course, achieve our circular economic goals.
Sure. Thanks, Karen. And yeah, I think it's just 15 minutes that I had to leave. So I was just thinking, should I jump now or should I just
Oh,
drop
thank
a
you.
message? Yeah, I'm really sorry I'll have to leave this call, but we just have our internal meeting. So Yeah, I really liked what was mentioned, as in, say, in terms of setting the ecosystem, at least the work that we have done is largely around policy. And both of our partners, Terry as well as Adelphi, who are our partners in the project as well, know about the challenges that we face when it comes to really in terms of setting the ecosystem is the policy. And that's what I also hear from the other kind of inputs that have come in. For example, if you just talk about the enterprises, the understanding with regard to the innovation, that aspect, I think is largely around either the water, energy, and those kind of savings, or the
Right.
traditional waste recycling part. And I think this is where we need to just bring in the element and capacity development around innovation. And secondly, of course, support through these kind of policy insights, where I think I would just like to give one example is about, I think you raised this point, Karen, about the cross sectoral collaboration. And I think many a
Right.
times we actually need that as a big challenge, because especially with MSMEs or enterprises, this is really key. Someone working on iron and steel might have a real link to another kind of a department or a division under the ministry. And I think this largely gets reported to a central pollution or a state pollution control board, which might just miss out an angle of which is the domain of other ministry and all that. So I think we as a project do bring in this aspect of aligning different interests in different ministries, at least in terms of getting this convincing arguments out that we need a cross sectoral collaboration and we need different uh, different ministries to actually come together when it comes to its implementation. Secondly, I would also just like to bring in this aspect about the job creation uh, aspect, because even though we haven't targeted this, at least in our first phase of the project, the EU REI, but we would definitely like to see of enhancing skills and opportunities in this sector. And something that I just traditionally of course, you can get a lot of information, but then you have to come to one or the other case study under the seeds or several other initiatives. Chain Asia is trying to do so much with enterprises. But I think this information is still quite diverse. I don't know, how do you make this information accessible to kind of create this network and exchange much more feasible? No? Like as Shashank just mentioned, that it is convincing, but still people don't want to join in because of several other challenges. So we just could understand in at least the last 3.5 years of our work with the government on circular economy, that the certain bits that are missing is, of course, the lack of this entire convincing towards the government, the policy framework, as well as the standards and certification. Because even many a times these products might be on the market available, but I think there's not a market reach out. And this is a huge opportunity because, and now especially with this, again after the pandemic, I think a lot of production would move to India. And this is where I think as a country, if we can actually bring in more uh, kind of certification standards in picture, and that I think will be quite important to move circular economy innovation forward. Yeah,
Great. Thank you
thanks.
so much, Rachna. And I'm hoping that we can convince you to stay a little longer, if possible.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that's
But
okay.
try and tempt you if it is possible. Yeah. Or else you go for your meeting and come back as soon as you can. But do
Wow,
thank you
I'm
so
really
much for
sorry.
setting that. Yeah. And thank
Thank
you
you.
again, once again. Yeah. For doing. And I think policy is a huge issue. There is no two ways about it, as well as about skills. Skilling is again very important. So thank you for bringing that up. Great. Gitanjali, thank you so much for your patience. I'm sorry I needed to do that, but please do. Yeah, we'd love to
No,
hear.
no worries. So, taking a lead from Puneet, while I'm representing an NGO here, I'm also associated with the tourism industry, which flourishes majorly in the rural sectors, and they have employed 75% of the staff are from the rural areas. So, giving empowerment there is not an issue, but definitely food waste. Like 60% of the food getting from linear to circular here transition is a major problem. We do not know how to handle this food waste. So that should be a part of the circular economy too.
I don't think there'll be anyone who will argue with you on that, Gitanjali.
Because it pains us. It pains us. There's so much around, but shifting the whole amount to an urban area would is not feasible. How best do we do that? That is a major issue, and we've been struggling. Any
So,
insights we get from here would
yeah.
be,
So I
yeah.
think here I'd like to just bring up the Seed Replicator program that Seed has, where they identify successful, eco-inclusive, time-tested models. Okay, business models. I'm going to add over here, not just best practices, but a proper business model from across the world, and they bring it up in this program called the Seed Replicator that allows for the replication, obviously, as the program name suggests, and it's really very very good to do that. So I think maybe we need, Amar, I think somewhere we need to look at how to take these programs deeper and further, and it'll be great to see participants from this roundtable coming forward interested in taking these programs further and getting the support to make this happen and make it a reality. So thank you for bringing this up, Gitanjali. Totally with you on
Yeah,
that.
I would love to get a solution here because the group is struggling.
I
It's
agree.
it's a prestigious group. I can share that on a
Yeah,
meeting. Yeah,
we will.
thank you.
Thank you so very much for doing that. Well. Great. So we have Linde. Yes, Linde, please do come in.
I just wanted to react to one point of Rashna's about certification, because I think it's really, really important to set the standard. But I just want to bring in the point that we really need to do capacity building with the enterprises, not to be burdened by certification, but for it to add an extra dimension to and attract more customers for their business. And I think for that we need incubators, but I would also call on any bigger corporates in this call that want to maybe integrate the really small guys in their value chain to encourage them to look at capacity building towards certification, or for them to meet their standards, because all too often that is just completely out of reach, especially for the micro and the small enterprises.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are actually, in fact, having another roundtable today, which is on the agri supply chain, and where one of these, like you said rightly, the entire value chain. It's not just the supplies, but the entire value chain is so important for it to be integrated, so that there are opportunities to build capacity along the way. Because as you said, it's like a burden for the the smaller enterprise who have just kind of start up and stuff. So yeah, the if we can see the roles and responsibilities and look at who can really take that on, I think it makes a huge amount of difference taking it forward. Great. I can see that
Sure.
the chat is beginning to fill up, and that's very nice. May I invite, yes, Dr. Rama, thank you so much for this thing. So maybe I could ask you to come in as an academician from that perspective, but also who has guided and mentored a lot of enterprises. So please, if I could have you.
Hi, Karen.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, as the discussion is going, the more important thing is the policy guideline that we really need to work on. Because I have worked with a few, social enterprises, startups in Pune. There is no framework or guideline which they can really follow. So it's a lot of trial and error, and a lot of time is wasted in that. The second thing is the awareness that we need to create about these products to the masses in general. That is the second point which I would like to highlight. And third is, as you rightly said, there is no incubation for such enterprises. Everybody is focusing on the commercial startups and the other startups. So there need to be a focus on even social enterprises and incubation. That is my take. 3 points which I would like to highlight.
All three very much required, and there's no two ways about this. So let me remind you folks, we are midway. Did you even realize that we have already done with 1 hour? Okay, we have just one more hour to go, and I hope we can make every single minute count, right? So, and that's only going to happen when I have all of you busy putting your hands up for us to take this conversation further. But to help you also do that, perhaps I'm going to share one more thing that we do. As I said, the roundtable at the RISE Summit is very unique because we have no panels and no presentations, but we also have gifts for our participants. Not just gift, mind you, I said gifts. And what is this gifts is the kind of lens we use to really dig deeper into our conversations and to get insights into what we talk about. And so the gifts really, some of it we have already kind of touched upon slightly, but it would be nice to see if we can go deeper still into that. And what does really gifts stand for is gender, innovation, finance, technology, and sustainable solutions. Because that's what we finally need, right? Even whatever else we might try to do, we need solutions at last. We cannot afford our youngsters doing startups out of passion and then withering away, right? Or we cannot afford people putting passion into starting initiatives that really are great, but then do not go further. In fact, as I said in this morning in my opening remarks, that we don't need breakthrough innovations, we need breakthrough interactions, because we need the support to keep these solutions going. So I don't know if this gives you some points to think about, but if someone would like to touch on the topic of gender, and I tell you the SEED Awards, incidentally, which was just recently announced, and I encourage many of you to apply for it, in that this gender component is very strong, even though when we say eco-inclusive, what do we mean by that? So gender, again, is a very strong component. Innovation, as we said, if we have to move ahead, we have to find new types of solutions. Finance is required, we all know that. And tech, what kind of clean tech or whatever type of technologies are out there. So what is it that we can talk about? So do I have someone who can help us go further on these topics? On these points. Yeah, Professor Menon, I can see there's a lot that you are sharing with us. Would you like to say a few words, please? Please keep the chat busy. It'll help me also to keep identifying people to come in. Great.
Yeah, I think, one of the most important issues which we need to address is about the linkages between economy, ecology, and, ecosystem to be also linked with, what was mentioned by Vidya Shah in the morning, society, market and governance. And that is the only way in which we will be able to link to what is ultimately a policy-driven solution. And policy is a statement of intent. And policy can actually be drawn up only when the stakeholders come together to contribute. And the COVID experience is actually extremely important to see that, we need to really look at stakeholder engagement to come up with solutions which are participatory and owned by society, owned by the people. So people's ownership is important. And so to do that, any circular economy can be successful only when we actually are able to bring together all the stakeholders to share their ideas and then come up with a solution which is acceptable to everybody. And to just one of the questions which was mentioned was, how do we really address food waste? In Kerala, hunger-free Alapi, hunger-free district of Alappuzha was announced by the finance minister, Thomas Isaac. And when that was announced, the people came forward and said that, give us space from the local self-government agencies to provide us space, and then we will provide food. So farmers started coming forward to provide vegetables and rice and, other ingredients which are needed. The merchants came forward and then started providing masalas, whatever has to be added, and so ultimately it's an elected representative of the local self-government, the Panchayat Raj institutions in India, along with the urban local bodies, which can actually come forward and then solve these problems. So in Kerala, again, in Cochin and in Trivandrum and in Calicut, they put up, refrigerators, a fridge which is put up in a public place where people who have extra food can come and put it there. It's not waste food, but it is good quality food which can be provided to people who need to take it free. And there is also a policy by the government of Kerala which says that all restaurants in Kerala will have to provide food free to anybody who is coming in and asking for food. And how do they manage that? You can see all the restaurants in Kerala showing this board when you enter saying that, free food will be provided to anybody who is hungry. And so they provide that food, free food, to the people who are hungry. And anybody who is actually from the middle class or upper middle class who can actually contribute can put their money into a glass bowl which is kept at the reception, at the desk of the owner. And so, people, you can actually see them dropping 500 rupee notes, 2000 rupee notes, so that the people who are hungry can actually take their food. So I think these are all solutions which have to co-emerge and co-create by all stakeholder groups.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Menon. I think that makes a lot of sense that, the more we can come together and leverage our strengths, the better we can come up with solutions that are there for all. That is so important, right? Amar, I wanted to bring you in for a minute to kind of also address some of the issues that Dr. Rama was talking about. Can I ask you to please do so?
Sure. I think Dr. Rama was touching on the issue of, when there are very less number of incubators for, circular economy entrepreneurship or eco-inclusive entrepreneurship. I totally agree. I mean, with Rama, and I think, everybody would agree. Karen, you, Dr. Modak, you can also, that there is definitely a lack of, incubators who are basically trained in terms of working with the circular economy entrepreneurship or eco-inclusive entrepreneurship related enterprises. Uh, I say like there is it's actually the government's concern in the end I see because we see like Startup India initiative kind of a thing and Skill India initiative kind of a thing where most of the money is going into conventional businesses like startups and all and we also see that when we see the AIM like Atal Incubation Mission, whether it is all the AICs, I see that when most of them are very much technology driven startups, and there is of course like there can be a technology driven clean tech startups as well which are contributing to the eco inclusive entrepreneurship, but which is not happening. So there I definitely see that government can jump in and maybe, as a pilot, what they can do is that, when they can start working with some set of AICs and telling them that, when they can include these kind of impact startups into their portfolios. And basically, once we have that pilot, we can actually like, with the successful case studies and with the successful templates and tools, we can actually replicate it to the different AICs as well. So basically, this is how this kind of entrepreneurship related system can move ahead. I feel.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks so much for helping us understand that better. And I think, yes, the whole ecosystem needs to look at incubation of eco-inclusive and, like what we also call it as women social green enterprises, a lot more like this. Savita, thank you. Yes, for your patience. I've seen your hand up. Can you please definitely unmute and come into the conversation? And I'd encourage others, please keep going. We need to see more hands up and more comments in the chat box. Great. Savita?
Great afternoon to all of you. Hi, Karen. Thank you for letting me in. So guys, there are 2 points which I just want to bring forth. One is that there are many innovators, grassroots innovators, who are, sort of constantly experimenting in their respective villages and coming up with very unique models and, very practical best practices. But there is an issue here. One issue being that unless and until they themselves have, every creator need not have need not have a business acumen and need not know how exactly that can be scaled or whom to reach. So that's always a gap. So let's imagine that you have innovators scattered at different places and you have the scouting teams. So let's just like the Honeybee Network, who has people scouting for innovators in different villages, and you have a common platform where across different categories, for example, if people have done some great work with respect to recycling the agricultural waste, or waste water, which is a priceless resource. They have in an arid area, they have come up with practices to see that how water can be conserved and used in the best possible way. So under different categories, you have all these innovators consolidate, and that information actually gets linked to different CSR activities across different companies. So every company, instead of engaging with a non-profit and saying that, okay, this amount of budget that I have for today, I'm going to put it in education, or I'm going to put it in water conservation, whatever area. I decide as a company CSR head that I'm going to adopt an innovator. So the innovator need not go around looking out for money, finance backing, or different kinds of setups for him to even do a pilot. Because unless and until he or she doesn't get an opportunity, how can that particular model grow? And that company takes the responsibility. Okay, let's do a pilot in X village, and they see that the innovator, their CSR practices actually get evolved along with that respective innovators. So can there be a system wherein you have the non-profits who become the scouting team, you have these experimenters and innovators doing different kinds of work, and then you have the CSR heads who come forward and saying, no, I'm not just going to put money in X non-profit and you go ahead and build 10 schools and 10 wells. No, I'm going to give an opportunity for every experimenter and see that that experimenter's idea gets a wider platform and wider scalability. So that is one point. The second point is about having a balance sheet for sustainability. We have a balance sheet where we have assets and liabilities. So a company knows that, okay, at the end of the day, I am making so much of money. But from an ecological perspective, do I have a balance sheet? So my asset should have, like for example, if I have planted, as a company, I have planted like 1 lakh trees, that should become part of the asset. But as a practice within manufacturing, I am contributing to so much of carbon that should be put in the liability. And thus actually come up with a metric. So just like you have Bhutan having a happiness index, we need to have a sustainability index for every company, which should become a critical factor for us to give maybe subsidies, and maybe that a lot of noise should be created around that particular number, the way we have been doing it for value shooting.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Sabita. May I invite you to come for the next roundtable, which is on SDG accountability and deals with specific benchmarks for organization. Organized means corporates, because it's about the top 2,000 corporates and their accountability. So yeah, we will talk more, and I hope you can join us there. But again, I think what you said is so true, right? I mean, if we don't start holding corporates accountable, and have a way to benchmark what they are doing and understand it, whether the balance sheet in this sense then is right or wrong, would really be a big way to take this conversation forward. Yeah. I can
Thank
see,
you very much.
please, if there are any of the experts who feel they would like to come in, we have 1 hour remaining. Please do come in, because I think I would also like to take the conversation now to the next part, which is about capabilities. So while the gifts starts to thinking on the challenges, capabilities, what are the kind of innovations and solutions that we have, which we can actually start talking and say would meet some of these challenges. So while we have said a few like that, so please jump in, experts especially. We'll be really happy to hear from some of you to address some of these challenges that have already been brought up. Yeah. But right now, maybe I would want to request Parth, yeah, to come in and maybe say what you'd like to us to hear about. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you for recognizing me, ma'am. Very good afternoon to everyone present here. I'm Parth. I'm a high school student from India. So, what I want to say is that when we talk about sustainable development, it's not only about climate change or circular economy. It is a lot of different things. Like even if we talk about the Agenda 2030, there are 17 different goals, and one things which we often miss is the gender equality and that portion of it, because practically speaking, then women is an invisible contribution, invisible part of the economy, which contributes greatly. So that should be there. And when we talk about SDG 13, the climate change, then it is evident that the climate change, it affects both men and women differently. And as of now, the Davos agenda is going on in the World Economic Forum. A lot of things are being discussed. Recently, the UN DP conducted a survey of 1.2 billion people, and out of those, 90% think that government is not taking enough initiative to tackle and combat the climate change. And talking about circular economy, I feel that a lot of people talk about Nordic countries, especially Sweden, talking about their waste to energy. Talking about their waste to energy plants, 34 of which they have, and how they import waste from other country. They have run out of waste. But even in India, if we see, we have a very sustainable and very successful model which is being implemented by Indore. So we can plan to implement it in other places also. So that's all I would like to say.
Great, thank you very much. And it's always great to have a youth voice because it definitely grounds us a lot more to think about future generations. But it also brings in new ideas, and we'd encourage you Parth, to keep going on this path and making sure that we have a lot more better future to look at. Thanks a lot. Yeah, great. Do I have anybody else who wants to come in? And this is the capability section, which means you can talk about the work that you are doing, the initiatives that you are doing, and maybe share with us what is so different or exclusive about what you're doing, or how it is the impact that you're creating through your programs. So really would encourage more people to come forward to talk about their work. Yes, Aditya, please.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you again for this.
He's been having internet issues. Aditya, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes. Yes, Aditya, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was facing some internet issues, so I missed the introduction, but thank you again for this insightful conversation. As a quick introduction, my name is Aditya. I'm a co-founder at Repurpose Global. And as a social enterprise, our goal is to mobilize financing in favor of existing innovative solutions for the circular economy that have a proven track record of context appropriate impact. And the way we do this is currently through this platform of plastic credits. So we've created the world's first plastic credit platform to enable brands who use plastic in their own packaging to finance innovation as well as infrastructure on the ground management through the purchase of plastic credits. So the goal here is to draw an analogy to the carbon credit market. And I think a little bit about our journey so far. We started as students doing our thesis on informal sector of waste management in India, and realized that simply the solutions are already there. We just need to mobilize the financing necessary to help those solutions amplify the impact. And so I think as a question to the rest of the participants in this call, would love to hear your thoughts on the lack of financing in this sector. I mean, I think we all agree with the principles of the circular economy, but would love to hear your ideas on how we can mobilize the financing necessary to make these ideas come to reality. So I'll stop there, and would love to connect both during this call as well as after. Thank you again for having us.
Oh my gosh, you've touched on such a raw nerve. I tell you, we will have everybody wanting to talk about financing. But no, I mean, yes, it is, I mean, a very critical reality that we do need for any enterprise to be able to survive and thrive. So it definitely is important. So we could go back to challenges a bit in that if there are people who want to talk about it. But yes, I see Kumar has raised his hand. Yes, Kumar, please come in.
Yeah, Karan, just one thing. I would like to share a slide. I don't know how it is possible.
No, I'm sorry.
Because this is just a graphic. I just want to show this to the people and realize how far we are failing in following a circular economy.
No, instead, what I will tell them to do is, I think you have your stall with the details. Yeah.
Okay.
Please invite them to that stall and they
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But this was on because someone talked about water a little bit before in the talk. And what we don't realize is that we assume that 100% of the precipitation is ours. So we go more than 100%. And what we don't realize is that in reality, we only are eligible for 56% of what falls from the sky. The balance 44% is needed by nature to reinvigorate itself. Some of it as eco-evaporation and some of it for refilling its own aquifers. So, we're actually rapidly exploiting nature and then greenwashing everything to sort of give it a spin that, we're doing more than what is required to survive. So anyway, I mean, that's what I had to say. And yeah, I mean, as Karan said, you're welcome to join me at my table at your convenience, and we can discuss some more on this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kumar. Very interesting thoughts and very interesting ideas that you have, and I definitely encourage people to do that. Yeah. Let's move ahead. Is there? I mean, as I said, we are talking about the challenges, and then we spoke about capabilities in terms of what people are doing. The last part, which is the most important part, of course, as we move ahead, is about collaboration, right? I mean, how do we take these conversations forward? How do we really create something that could benefit, all of us over here who are sitting here? And it's not just from a very broad 30,000 point of view and, bringing up and saying things that may or may not happen in the future, but something that could be very concrete and, as something that we can do now. So could I request, if one is, of course, I would again invite somebody to come ahead and, let us know. And again, I'd ask some of the experts to talk about the work they are doing, where you could perhaps bring in others and where you could look at partnering with others as well. So to encourage some of the experts to think along those lines. But at the same time, I would encourage the participants to please do pen down your thoughts in this, in the chat as well, so that we can look at this over here. And one of the things, since you spoke about finance, Aditya, I'm also going to ask Dr. Modak in the meantime, while people are thinking about what to put down in the chat box for collaboration, to perhaps talk on the aspects of access to finance for the circular economy and eco-inclusive enterprises. Dr. Modak, may I trouble you for a little bit of your insights?
There's one fundamental point we got to discuss is that do we really require a separate window for financing on circular projects?
Right.
This subject has been discussed quite a lot, and there are many dedicated funds which got set up last couple of years just focusing on circular economy, found that it is very difficult to put a boundary to say what is circular or what is more circular or what is not fully circular. And that has been a challenge to many of these fund managers as well. When we talk about securing finance in the form of a debt or equity. However, in terms of getting soft grants, especially for startups, and also getting angel investors in the phases like accelerator, I think there is really a reason why people are looking for such a kind of a seed finance, so to say. But having done that, when you are accelerating and then scaling up, then many windows which we already have on in general project finance, they become all accessible. So I would say there's a good amount of a need for us to lubricate the early stage as much as we can for giving people the necessary support, to put their ideas into maybe a prototype or a pilot phase. And I think that's where we need to do more of a pushing. And beyond then, I think we do see emergence of several funds. For example, on plastic sector, we saw last year Circulate Capital from Singapore closed 6 deals in India. And that just showed that you do have access to larger amounts coming from such funds. We have many examples where some of these companies received initial grants from funds like Avishkar, who in fact graduated later on. I'm talking about a case of a company called Nepra, and then that grew up and then secured next layers of funding, not just from Avishkar, but from Circulate Capital. So there is, I would say, definitely a structure in place when you go about beyond the acceleration, and you can approach really various avenues for project finance. Some of the very dedicated funds which have been recently set up, like the closed loop fund in the US, which is operating mainly in the US, or you have now even BlackRock getting into it with new products for the equity related investment for circularity. Those are much later and large scale, large ticket projects, I would say. But here I think, right from the enterprises who are in the innovation phase, nurturing them and taking them ahead and giving them some comfort, I think we'll need to get more and more VC community, getting engaged. So it's taking back to Karen, your point that is what we want to do in the form of giving them the necessarily connects for those who are seeking finance and those who are interested in quality projects. There also has been argument whether a circular project has a higher chance of a more IRR, because it is really looking at solutions which are more resource efficient. So we got to build up, Karen, more storylines, getting more and more VCs involved, institutional funding as well. And how do we use sometimes leverage from the CSR funds more on skilling and innovation, which are also important part of this enabling framework. But otherwise, I don't see much of an issue when it comes to financing.
I can assure you that that would be music to many entrepreneurs sitting in the room right now, because I'm sure most of them are worried that, where are they going to get the funding from to continue their work and grow and, scale up their operation. So it's good to know, but of course there are prerequisites for that. And, and I think that's where programs like the Seed Starter and Replicator help to build that capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do need that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
because you need to be investment ready, as we call it, right? And so
Yeah.
that becomes extremely critical to make happen. Yes,
Very
indeed. Come in, please come in. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think Asad's rightly saying that we need grants, and that's why Seed always works with small grants for our enterprises. But I was also going to say that we have been quite successful in running these finance labs, where we're essentially getting finance actors and SMEs together to design instruments that really meet these the needs of these SMEs. And I think, I would encourage anyone on this platform to kind of think about that, like, to build these instruments from the ground up, essentially, and either join us for that or reach out for that, or even, I'm sure we're happy to share our experiences so far of how you can sort of organize something like that and how you can be successful with that.
Yeah.
So that's just something I wanted to raise.
Great. Thank you so much. No, again, it is like you said, there are some really great programs that are there in the whole seed programs. And the toolkits that Amar spoke about earlier are really, really tried and tested. So yes, would encourage many more people, both the enterprises as well as the ecosystem players who would be interested in exploring that, to kind of come and be a part of that. So thank you very
That's
much
right.
for sharing with us. So Deepak, yeah, collaboration in finance can be organic. Wow. Okay, so that's really, really great to see a concept.
In line to what we were discussing on this finance, and very recently now we are talking about this collaboration. I can just try and bring in a classic case from my field of work, waste management. See, I'm seeing a lot of startups and small organizations coming and working on waste, especially on plastics or any municipal solid waste. On one hand, on the other hand, traditionally there are informal people. They are not really an organization, but traditionally family, like 3-4 generations they have been into this. And today one of the educated youth from that family is also running that business, having a good amount of cash in his hand, but there is no really capacity for him to develop that as an organization and establish that as a platform for him to be in the formal sector. But there are also mushrooming organizations on the formal sector and looking for finance. This guy has a finance, but they don't know. He doesn't know how to really take it to next level as a full-fledged organization. But there are organizations coming up, taking debt and equity or through angel investment, and then looking for finance. How do we merge these two and bring them on the platform where there is a finance for the organizations, as well as there is a dignified organization being run by this traditional informal family, and how to bring them to a platform is something I'm just trying to bring it from my experience and see to discuss about that. That's
I
it.
think that is, I think that's so true that right now we have to look at blended finance, right? I mean, everybody is talking about it. And I wish we had a few banks in the room, but we don't. So that's fine. But yes, understanding both the equity route and then of course the investment and then the grant. So there is going to be these kind of combinations that have to be explored by entrepreneurs based on their appetite, based on their plans, and so much more than that, right? So it is important to explore all of that, and from an ecosystem point of view, have these options available, and made available, not just available but made available to the entrepreneurs, so that they have easy access to some of these options. So yes, thank you for bringing that point up. Yes, Vishnu, we've not heard from you, and Gitanjali, I will come to you in a little bit. Vishnu, go ahead, please. Vishnu.
One second, yes.
Okay.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Okay. First of all, thank you for this beautiful topic, right? The main reason I interested in this particular topic was like the kind of work I'm doing. I have a setup, like new business startup, like for transplantation of trees, right? So I have like, almost around 5,000 trees, which are like trees were chopped down due to construction of new roads or metro constructions. Now we replanted those, and we are taking care for those trees around like more than 2 years. Right now, how I look into this perspective, wherever my trees are planted, they are next to these or sewage lines, and I see total entire year this water is just flowing through that sewage water and going into ocean. See, if I could get like some help, like if I can recycle that sewage water and use for my gardening, for my trees, so I can save a lot of money. Because right now I'm spending like 1,000, like more than 3 to 4,000 a day to water those plants, because I need to buy water. So when we talk about sustainability, all the water which is coming from the groundwater, and we are utilizing it, and we are just putting it back into ocean. So when it will go into ocean, then it will go into water cycle, it will rain, and then it will come back to the groundwater. So this is not no longer a sustainability, because we all know that number of trees are going down. So we are not sure how much water is actually going into that groundwater. So this is what I was
Thank you
talking.
very much.
If I get to know any policies which are there by the government, or if anyone who is willing to do certain kind of work, I am working at the grassroots level, so I can do the work. I just need some guidance.
Great. No, so I think, I'm sorry, it's reverberating in your system. Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. So I think, Vishnu, one of the things what I would strongly recommend and ask you to do is, create a case study of what you're doing, because these are examples right from the ground, at the very basic level. And the work that you're doing is really important from a local economy point of view. And this is something we were talking in the earlier roundtable, where we said, the contextualization and the localization of solutions is so important, because sometimes we can talk at a very 30 feet kind of conversations that really don't have relevance on the ground. So when we get good practices that can be replicated and we can build models around them, then I think those are definitely something all of us would like to know about, and all of us would like to kind of work with. So do share those stories, and hopefully we will stay in touch so that we can see what possible outcomes are there for you as well, to take forward from this call. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, hi Gitanjali. Do come back in.
So, this
Yeah,
merging.
welcome. Thanks, Karen.
Hi. So,
Yeah.
merging the circular economy with COVID response is also warranted here. For example, accelerated digitalization, where COVID-19 has forced the private sector, almost every offices, to shutter businesses because of social distancing measures. And digitalization is not just limited to the medical solution; it is playing critical role as an enabler of the circular economy. It could be used as, where it can help businesses close loops and implement some more efficient processes. It's minimizing waste, at the same time promoting longer lives for products. Then there's another example where N95 masks was required in the beginning of the pandemic, and I mean the numbers required were in millions, and we were worried as to how would they be manufactured. So Americans there started donating, distributing tires, raincoats, houses, shoes, etc. So that could, my only thing is that this could be built into recovering in the post-COVID world, the response.
The COVID and the post-COVID time has definitely been a time for us to speed up our work on circular economy, and also in terms of a lot of waste management at the very minimum, and obviously circular economy solutions at the best case. So yes, this is a very important thing to be highlighted, and thank you again for bringing it up. I would give the same advice, or I would make the same request of you, Gitanjali, that if you can document this, these kind of instances and aspects, then again it will help to kind of build support for these things, yeah, and share with the right kind of people. Great. Okay, folks, we just have another half an hour more to go, okay, before we close. And so I do want to kind of encourage you that to please make every minute count, and definitely come in a little bit more to see what is it that we can get out of this roundtable going forward. Because I think the next section, what we definitely want to do is, do you have any projects or ideas or thoughts that we can take forward, and we can perhaps offer to others in this room, or explore with others in this room, to see what kind of partnerships and alliances can we do, what kind of maybe projects we could replicate, what kind of projects we could maybe start anew, or then most importantly look at consortium partnerships or being associated with the seed program. So I think there are many options in terms of outcomes, because I'm sure all of us here want to spend our time really effectively to get something out of it. And so you could use the chat box, I'm sorry, to write down some of your thoughts and ideas in this direction, or of course come on board and maybe say a few words. So yeah.
Karen, I just wanted to add something. Since
Sure.
you're going to shift gears to another topic, I didn't hear much about the performance-based business models in circular economy. Just wanted our friends to understand that not all circular businesses are looking for capital. They're very interesting models where people do offer performance-based services and pick up fees based on what they deliver. And that has been really already in place in the field of energy sector, where we have ESCO models. Now, such models are being talked about and getting more and more pushed for getting into engagement for businesses which will deliver resource efficiency, or which deliver higher rates of waste utilization. And then the business model is that, look, I will sign up a contract at a pretty low fee to make myself very competitive, but then I will share the profits, what my client is going to gain, because I've raised the bar or benchmark on resource efficiency. Now, these are high expertise solutions, which are very much there in the circular economy business canvas. So do look at them. You don't have to look at everything where you need to do a setup, a plant, a capital investment, then work out what's your paybacks, etc. But also look at some of these very interesting frontier areas. Eco design is one area. Making the business compliant to the codes of conduct while being in the supply chain is an area. Meeting eco labels for the markets which are outside is another area. So do open up your thinking when it comes to entrepreneurship to look into such models as well. We sometimes believe that few years the term circular economy may be called as a performance economy, which is a phraseology already being talked about, but that's where all of us are heading to. So I thought, Karen, just to add this point, because let us look at all possible business models.
And thank you very much. That's something that is very much in line with what I believe as well, Dr. Modak, because I feel sometimes we get too preoccupied with funding, okay, as the only barrier to our growth. Whereas the reality is that there are many other issues that first need to be ready before you are ready for money, also, it's not always money. Sometimes I know of enterprises who have been hugely funded and then they don't know what to use the money for, because they've just not thought it through. They don't have the proper business plan, which also makes me wonder how do they get the money in the first place. But they did get the money, okay, and they don't know what to do with it. So I think, both those situations are there, and therefore, while money may be important, there is definitely, thank you very much for pointing that out, there are many, many other issues to be thought about, and there are many other resources, that you require. And that's why one of the things that we talk about is time, talent, and treasure. We do not say that treasure is money alone. Treasure is also in kind. There are many things that you can leverage from partners which don't necessarily need to be about money. Yeah. And actually, I wouldn't mind saying this at this point. The Rise Summit is one of these examples, let me tell you, where we don't have sponsors, but we have partners who we leverage very, very effectively so that we can make a large event like this happen without those huge budgets that people spend on events. Yeah. So I think totally go with what Dr. Modak kind of highlighted and made us think about in terms of non-financial resource leverage as well. Yeah. Thank you. Great. So, as I said, we're coming to the end. I would like our experts to perhaps, great to see Piyush here, because we are looking at closing with our experts giving us a on what they feel has been the outcome from this conversation, and what do you think are the possible ways for us to take it forward, and what can we do. So Piyush, would you like to go now, or would you like to hold on for some time and talk a little later?
So I'll just hold on and just wait for other participants to just collaborate and then just, of course, join in. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. No problem whatsoever. We look forward to you coming in at your time. So Shashank has put his hand up. Yes, Shashank, go for it.
So I just wanted to add one more aspect towards circular economy and as an ecosystem is that yes, we have been discussing about enterprises and corporates, governments, and various other stakeholders which are at the forefront of the professionalism. But I think we can also and we should incorporate the introduction of circular economy at an educational level, because that is where a lot of innovation comes and there's a lot of potential for the new generation to make an impact. Because a lot of times it happens that many students are really unaware about all these topics and aspects, and then they just move towards the conventional professional opportunities.
Right.
So once we have these young individuals starting their thought process in this directions at an early age, I think it's going to be a lot more easier in the long run for all the stakeholders.
Right. Yes, thank you very much, Shashank. I think the awareness factor is definitely something that we can all collaborate on together, and there are many ways to collaborate on, creating awareness and doing this kind of a drive around it. So whether it is, as I said, case studies, whether it is talking more about programs, or whether it is then bringing more resources to more remote and rural areas. So thank you very much for bringing that up. I'm going to start moving to my experts to really close the roundtable and kind of bring a sense of what you call it, what is there. I'm so sorry, I believe it's Miss Jija Hari Singh. Would you like to say a few words, ma'am? Okay, no, I'm still not getting you on. So because you've commented quite a bit, and we'd love to really hear a bit more, but that's fine. Okay, so as I said, we just have the next 10 minutes or so remaining. So I would like to take maybe a last round of closing remarks from the experts to give us their inputs as to what they thought about this roundtable and what do they think we can do taking it forward, right? So who would like to kind of go? Kathir Risan, would you like to be one of the first to go, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, Karan, it was a very insightful conference which we had today, and happy to be a part of this forum now. So, as you said, it is something as a collective measure which we have to have the participation from every individuals. So, as an organization, as an entrepreneur, or as an NGO, So everyone should take the responsibility and come forward with their part to do in this society, so that we also will have an collective results about the sustainability going forward. And so looking forward for many more of such to participate and get some insight of knowledgeful things. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. That's really important. Great. Can I ask, who can ask? Malini, would you want to come in a little bit? We've not heard much from you, and it'd be really nice to get your points in as well.
Yeah, I think Linde should be able to say some, interesting points on this.
Yeah. Okay.
So also, I guess the other experts, let's hear from them before we go back to the final session.
All right, fair enough, fine, great.
Karen, may I just come in for half a minute, please?
Okay.
Jija, this is Jija Hari Singh. You had called my name. There was some glitch in my computer, that is why. I am actually a police officer who has put in 35 years of service and retired, and into a lot of other activities now. One is, of course, many sustainable practices. I wouldn't like to go into that, but what I had posted in the chat is that I am supporting individually and also through an organization many charities or many people, individuals, many innovators who are providing food in Karnataka. Gadag is one, and the outskirts of Bangalore is another prominent one. Gadag we have been doing for the past 5 years, but the problem is that one person or two people or three people, individuals, we are finding it very, very difficult to sustain and scale these things up. So I was just wondering whether there is any opportunity in this, in this group or subsequently, whether some strategies could be rolled out for collaborative practices.
Sure. So like I said, this is not an event, right? It's a platform, which means the conversation does not stop here. It does continue. And we would encourage you all to be in touch with us. We are planning a LinkedIn group, especially for people from the RISE Summit. And so we will definitely continue to be engaging. At the same time, the Seed India Hub is very much over here now in India itself, which is really great. And it just got started last year, while Seed has been around for a long time. The India Hub was established last year. And so we will have different opportunities to explore how to be involved and associated with the seed programs. And I'm sure you will find many more opportunities as we move along. Yeah. So look forward to
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Linde, would you like to maybe say a few words now? Yeah.
Sure. So I think, there's so much that passed, and I think we risk all being overwhelmed. So I think we should all kind of keep our heads screwed on and kind of think of where each of us can make one major impact, and sort of get going on that. But in terms of what for Seed, I think what I take away is, let's ensure we do really quality capacity building for these enterprises to develop these models that we need, but also really ensure that the funding that is actually going and that is being freed is diverted to credible enterprises, and those that are fighting the hard fight profit from the money being freed, for example, by the Indian government for incubators, and don't only end up with the mainstream businesses. And I think, I remain convinced of the collaboration aspect that we need, on a sort of technical, but at sort of different levels, technical through to sort of the policy level. But then the last thing I would say is really, let's make sure that we're sharing those stories and those models to provide inspiration on circular products and services.
Awesome. I think that's already setting a very positive way forward for us to do something more. with and for the enterprises. I think that's the anyway underlying mandate for Seed. So it's great to hear that. And yes, Piyush, I can see your hand up just in time. We are almost getting ready to start
Perfect.
closing.
Thank you, Karanji, for organizing this much needed session, like on circular economy. Apologies, I couldn't really be part of the entire session, but from like this being part of this, I promise it would have been an excellent session. So a couple of words about the collective. What we do is currently I run a platform known as the Circular Collective, and this stems from the fact that like having spent a lot of years in Germany and the UK, I came across like tons of examples on circular economy which were documented really well, at least in Western Europe. And I figured like there are not many cases which are really documented, at least in India. So that was the genesis of starting the Circular Collective, and I urge everyone to be part of and visit the website. It's an open source platform where we are sort of documenting case studies and what does really circular economy mean for an Indian context. While there are excellent examples in Western Europe, not much has been documented in India. So we're trying our best to look into grassroots innovations and frugal innovations with Jaideep Prabhu and Naviraju, and sort of just trying to really put into context what does circular economy mean. I also see, like at least from our platform, we see a huge number of young ones, especially urban planners, city planners, young economists and management students who are regular visitors to our website. And what we have been really requested is to come up with some course curriculum and courses on circular economy. And so if anyone is sort of working on that, then just please sort of let's collaborate. What I've done is I've recently partnered with a couple of institutions who are already offering circular economy courses, but they're again from a very Western European focus. So if there's someone who's working in an Indian context where we can document example, then I'll be very happy to take that lead also. At the same time, I think again, and this is more my research topic, it is, like if we are of course talking about circular economy and transition by businesses, but another thing that I strongly believe that could be the starting point, at least could be the cities. Like we are all living in huge cities, and we can definitely start, at least on our part, a circular economy movement, trying to map out institutions who are really working at a city level, and then start a conversation at least with the city and municipal administrators. How do we can we have like a circular city plan and come up with some sort of concrete action plans. But yeah, please urge you to be part of the collective as well. It's an open source platform and would be very happy to partner with any institution. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. I am a part of it.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's very encouraging. Thank you, Karachi. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's great, really. I look forward to the inputs we get from there. And that's one more way to learn, what is happening in other places. So thank you so much for that as well.
Sure,
I'm going to ask Sanjeev to quickly come in. Sanjeev, if you'd like to, we are in the last leg and closing leg, in fact, not just last, but almost the end. So would you like to say a few words to close and maybe, share with the please?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. And at the outset, I'd like to say a lot of things that Dr. Modak said, particularly later on about the performance. I would really echo that. So that's really important. And just to add to that, a lot of us get caught up with all the new phrases and terms that are coming up. So circular economy is a very fashionable, very modern word that's being talked about. We've had before other words, green economy is there. So I would say to the entrepreneurs, don't get caught up if your model is not circular. If you're doing a lot of enabling stuff like even if you're working in a renewable energy kind of a space, that's key for having a circular economy model. You're doing things like, let's say, 3D printing, for example. You have a little business, a small business. You are contributing to the circular economy in that sense. So that's one piece of it. Second, there's a lot of questions and worry about finance. And I've been and continue to be very actively involved in the private finance side as a funder, etc. And I can tell you, if a business is innovative, and the heart of all of this is innovation, if you're genuinely innovative, you will get the funding. If not sooner, later. If your business is not innovative, if it's a bit weak, or if it's highly, highly risky, that's where you're going to get grant supports or this sort of a thing. If your core business is innovative and I would say 9 out of 10 times you should be able to secure the right. Otherwise, question if you're not getting the finance, is your business innovative solution or not, right? The third thing, last quick point from my side is that collaborations, I think Rachna mentioned that and others have mentioned, is absolutely critical. And I'll share a quick example with you, which may not be pertinent given the kind of startups we're talking about, but probably the biggest example that has come out recently. This is a funding that European Union did last year of textile circular economy model, which is started by Adidas and H&M. And this is to take used garments and put them through the entire cycle of decoloring, making new fiber, making new filament, new fabric, new clothes, and then following it up with the consumer to take it back when they don't want it. There are 12 companies involved in this. There are 12 different companies who are creating this, let's say, business model to happen. Adidas cannot do it alone. H&M cannot do it alone. And that's the other, messaging I wanted to leave, that it is a lot about collaboration and whether you're a small player. So those are some quick thoughts. Back to you, Karen.
Thank you very much. I completely agree. Now, the heart and soul of the Rise World Summit is collaboration, and so you couldn't have a more bigger advocate than me to say that yes, that is what we should be following. So I want to thank all our experts and all our participants for this wonderful roundtable, and to really close it really well, I'm going to ask Amar back with his Mentimeter. Amar.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much, Karen. And yes, we will be closing this session with the Mentimeter, because since we have heard so much of collaboration potential over here, so I thought we can have a little bit of a closing in terms of feedback as well as the way forward to it. So what I'm going to do is I can again present this as you can see on the screen. Please go to the menti.com, www.menti.com. www.menti.com and use the code 6314222. So 6314222. So you can use your phones or you can use your laptops or desktop. Please go to menti.com and use the code 6314222. Great. I can see some people are already joining.
Please do this. It's very, very important for us. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the first thing, which is basically feedback about the session. How do you rate the discussions happened until now?
Now I've seen someone from Afghanistan. I just wish, Asmat, that you were there earlier, or maybe I've seen you too late, because we'd love to have insight from Afghanistan as well.
Okay, great. No, actually, that was not my phone, somebody else's. The host muted me. It's fine. Okay, I can see that, when most of our participants are satisfied with or very satisfied with the discussions which we have done today. Thank you very much. Thanks to the experts over there. Next question is basically in terms of the collaboration. What direct collaboration do you see with Seed India in going forward? And please mention your organization in your answer. So what direct collaboration do you see with Seed India in going forward? And please do mention your organization in your answer so that we can, connect as well.
Yeah, so I would like to just bring in one more thing on this topic, Amar, is that, don't only think about yourself and in the room kind of a concept. Please think from a broader ecosystem. Now I want you to go out of the room, okay, and think who are the other people you are working with, who are the other things that you are doing something with, or what are the other ideas that you have that you want, and would that be something that you can link with the seed ecosystem? Then that is awesome, because you can also be connectors. It's not only obviously about just this. Yeah. Great.
Thanks, Karen.
And with respect to the previous slide, we welcome all kinds of feedback. Even positive criticism is absolutely welcome. So if you have any thoughts or ideas how these sessions could be improved, what could we do better over here, please feel free to either send us a mail or put a tweet out or whatever, or you can just tell me directly on a personal one-on-one chat. Where do you think we can improve? Because we take all feedback very, very positively, and more than happy to know that.
Nice. Great to see some collaborations coming in as well already. Please feel free to write, and we can open it up for next minute. So please be quick. And also, as I mentioned, like, please mention your organization so that we can connect with you later on. Okay, I guess we're fine. Anyways, I think, Karen, we are going to be providing a platform on Rise Summit as well, in terms of the like one-on-one collaborations as well, right?
Sure,
If I'm not
absolutely. We will do.
okay, perfect. All the participants are going to hear from us, definitely. And I will now just hand it over to Karen. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you very much, Amar. Really appreciate the
Thank
partnership with
you.
Seed and Adelphi, because it definitely means a lot. We've been associated for a while now, and taking this forward and strengthening it means a lot to us. Thank you all participants for being with us. Thank you to the experts. Just a quick housekeeping that, as you know, the Rise World Summit is a 36-hour programming, and we've just done about 6 hours of it. So we still have 30 hours to go. So do check out the agenda. Please see what else is there, which will be of interest. And I'm pretty sure you'll find a lot more interesting things as well still there for you to explore. One more housekeeping rule would be the LinkedIn group, which I think Ashwini, my colleague, is putting on the group. Please do try and join us over there. And last but not the least, it's not the end. It's just the beginning. Keep in touch and look forward to engaging further. Thank you all very much. And we will now be closing the roundtable. Bye-bye.